Okay. Good afternoon, Dr. Lubna and my fellow coursemates. So today, Ku and I will be presenting on curriculum changes in Malaysia, in the Malaysian English education, and called KSSR. So firstly, we'll look at an introduction. KSSR was first implemented starting from primary schools in Malaysia, beginning in the year 2011. So it was introduced to improve the current curriculum, which at that time was KBSR, to ensure that students will get the relevant knowledge, skills, and values that they need in order to face the challenges in 21st century. As we all know, in the 21st century, there is a lot more technology integrated in our life. So technology plays an important part, as well as issues like critical thinking skills. So students of the 21st century, it is very important that they have good command of critical thinking skills. So we can see later in this KSSR syllabus how it has changed from the old syllabus, which is the KBSR syllabus. Now, the KSSR syllabus curriculum actually follows the UNESCO 4 pillars of education, which is learning to know, learning to do, learning to live together, and learning to be. So next, we will look at some of the significant changes in the curriculum documents and organization of KSSR. So firstly, before we look into KSSR further, we want to look at curriculum change and implementation. So this is according to research. There are 5 different types of changes that takes place when a curriculum is being changed. So there's substitution, alteration, perturbations, restructuring, and value-oriented changes. And each of these 5, it is like substitution is the simplest change, up to value orientation changes is the largest change. So in substitution, it is basically substituting teaching materials. For example, when we have a new curriculum, we also have new textbooks and new workbooks. Whereas for alteration, it is when new content is added into the existing materials. So maybe there are additional, maybe more group activities that are inside the curriculum, or more listening and speaking activities as opposed to just reading and writing. That's for alteration. And then there are perturbations, which are small changes that at first, when it's first implemented, will interrupt the existing programs because it's something new. But teachers can fine-tune these changes and make it to fit into the new curriculum. So this is, for example, like class schedules. So maybe there will be a change in class schedules. For example, more time needs to be spent on certain activities, and this is under perturbations of curriculum change. And then there's restructuring. So restructuring is curriculum change on a larger scale, where it modifies the entire school system. So this is when schools introduce a new curriculum, and it is not just like soft curriculum change, but the whole school knows that, we are going to have a curriculum change. Everything is going to be new. So there's going to be new textbooks, new way of teaching, new way of learning, new way of exams and assessments. And lastly is the value orientation changes. So this change is not really seen with our eyes, or maybe it's not a physical change, but it is a change in teachers and school staff. So in order for curriculum change to really happen successfully, the teachers and the school staff need to really be willing to adopt the new educational philosophy of the new curriculum, as well as the curriculum orientations. Because if, let's say, the teachers and the school staff still have the old mentality, the old mindset, and still stick to the old educational philosophy, even though teachers may be implementing the new curriculum changes, but it will not be as effective because it is not not aligned with the educational philosophy of the new curriculum. So that is for the value orientation changes. So now, what is KSSR actually? Now, KSSR follows a standard-based English language curriculum and also standard-based assessment. So standard-based English language curriculum, we can see there is a change in the way the curriculum is organized. And KSSR includes basic reading literacy, phonics, penmanship, and language arts. So it is a more a richer development of the English language, where it doesn't just focus on reading and writing, but then in the reading part, the reading skill is approached through phonics. And then also there's a modular structure which encourages skill integration. So in the modular structure, we will see things such as for primary one, let's say for primary one, they have three existing teams that will cover the whole year, and then within each team there are modules. So inside each module there will be skill integration. So it's not just you are reading in one class, you are writing in another class, but then inside the activities according to the themes, you use different skills, different English language skills, maybe reading and writing, listening and speaking together in within the same activity. And then standard-based English language curriculum also gives emphasis on creative and critical thinking, as well as reasoning skills. So just now, even in the introduction, I mentioned that critical thinking skills, reasoning skills is something that's very important for 21st century. So that's why we can find this as one of the main focuses as well inside the KSSR curriculum. And then we have the standard-based assessment. So KSSR follows the standard-based assessment. And one of the most important focus of assessment in KSSR is the formative assessments. So formative assessments is when throughout the teaching and learning process, there will be exercises, or there will be small quizzes that the teachers will give to the students. And from there, teachers will assess students. How are they learning? Are they understanding what is being taught in class? So formative assessments is different from summative assessments, where it is not just the final exam or the big test that they are preparing for at the end of the course, but throughout the whole course, teachers will have the chance, the opportunity to assess students based on their learning progress. So that formative assessment is one of the focus of KSSR, which is not so much focused in KBSR previously. So the standard-based assessments also helps pupils to comprehend language input and answer questions with high level of cognitive skills. So once again, KSSR here focuses on developing students' cognitive skills. And lastly, it emphasizes on the conceptual understanding and integration of language skills and focus. So this KSSR aims to give students holistic development of English language, where pupils learn how they can integrate the skills, like how are the English language skills used together, not just like reading as one, listening as one, speaking as one, but even when we perform an activity, we take part in an activity, when we have to listen, most of the time we have to speak like in a conversation. So KSSR actually helps students to understand the whole concept of language and how to integrate the English language skills. So next, Ku will explain more about KSSR as well as KBSR.
So now I will take over and I will explain on the differences between KSSR and KBSR. So first of all, KSSR is based on modular structure, as mentioned by Yen just now. As well, when it comes to KBSR, it is more towards a linear structure. Well, the thing about the differences between the two, the main thing to note is that most of the things are not replaced, but rather added. So like most of the things in KBSR is also there in KSSR, but the thing with KSSR, it has more of added agendas and stuff in there, which KBSR already has. And the second one, that KSSR is based on content and learning standards, while for KBSR, it's more based on learning outcomes. Like it focuses more on the outcomes of the learning, how it will determines the changes based on whatever outcomes that you can get from learning. And for the third one is for KBSR, reading, writing, and counting, and KSSR, reading, writing, counting, and reasoning. So for reasoning, it emphasizes more on the global changes and the readiness of the students to face the social and for the future as well, which is also highlights one of the points which I've mentioned earlier, that KSSR adds more stuff, which KBSR already has. And the fourth, it has like For KSSR, it's listed 6: communication, spiritual, attitude, and values, humanities, physical, aesthetical development, science and technology. Whereas for KBSR, it has all of that. Communication, human environment, and self-development. And when you take a look at that, the science and technology is definitely one of the most notable one that we need to put focus on, because from 2011, they put more focus into science and technology because it adjusts to the changes of the world as well. So like the thing with the curriculum changes, it's more towards like it's always adjusting from time to time. The things will always change with what's the word, suitable for our day and age. Like for KSSR, as you can see, it's all also based on a curriculum which was previously improved on, and KSSR is an improvement of KBSR. So that's basically how it goes between the two. Next slide. So for conclusion, the purpose of English education in Malaysia is to equip people with basic knowledge to enable them to communicate effectively in a variety of contexts. KSSR aims to do so in a level that is appropriate to the pupil's level of development. It also gives emphasis to creative and critical thinking, as well as reasoning skills, as I've mentioned earlier, which is incorporated in learning standards. Now, this is to enable the pupils to solve problems, improve on their decision making, and express themselves in creative, simple language. And KSSR also takes into account the global changes in the 21st century and aims to prepare pupils for their future. Now, this is like, for example, the science and technology as well. And most of the things in KSSR, they basically re-highlight and emphasize the language arts, the phonics, as well as the penmanship. And it also puts emphasis on conceptual understanding and integration of language skills and language focus rather than the traditional way. So yeah, that's it from Yan. Thank you, Doctor, and thank you to